Welcome to the Ellis Talker Show. I'm DV LeBron. Today's very special guest is the Sheriff of Ellis County, Mr. Brad Norman. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, DV. How about you?
I'm good. You know, I had you on about a year ago, maybe a little bit less, and we talked about crime in the county, and I wanted to have you on again to kind of speak on that and other good stuff that's happening soon. But you know, there are a lot of new people, so I just wanted you to kind of introduce yourself to the people of Ellis County.
You bet. My name's Brad Norman. I spent over 20 years at the Ellis County Sheriff's Office, about almost 23 or 4 now, and have been the elected sheriff since January of 2021. So a little over 2.5 years now. This is getting close to the end of my first term. Got about a year and a few months left on this first term. Like I said, spent about 20 years here at the sheriff's office. Started out here as an investor, as a deputy, and I've held. We didn't have corporals back then, but I've held sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and chief deputy ranks throughout the sheriff's office. I left in 2017 when we had a newly appointed sheriff fired me. Sheriff Edge fired me and said my services were no longer needed. So I left here in 2017 and ended up at Methodist Hospital Police Department, and where I worked there for about 3 years, a little over 3 years, and ran for the office. And like I said, got elected, took office January 1st of 2021.
So essentially, you got fired and then kind of, but congratulations on that. What have you seen has been the biggest changes since you started as sheriff?
A lot. We provide services to all of the unincorporated areas in the county. So if you live in Ellis County, but you don't live in the city limits of Waxahachie or Midlothian or Red Oak or Ogilla or whatever city limits, and you need police services, you're going to call 911. It's going to be one of my deputies that comes out. So we've got so we're the largest agency in the county still. I've got about 264 employees. I've got a little over 100 police officers. I've got like 128 detention officers, and then the rest are civilians. And we provide everything from patrol. We patrol areas out in the county. We have a criminal investigation division. We do everything from minor property thefts, mailbox bashings, all the way up to to homicides. We've had an unusually large number of those in the last since I've been in office, but we do everything for that. So we've also got a civil division. They take care of our civil process. They take care of our courthouse. That's our courthouse security, our bailiffs for the 3 district judges and the 3 county court of law judges. We bailiff those courts as well. We take care of the historic courthouse as well as the new courts building right up the street on Jackson Street. And we have a narcotics unit that does a fantastic job. We have animal control. We have a SWAT team here at the sheriff's office, and we've been working with Ennis Police Department. We've got several Ennis officers on our SWAT team, and been training together and working together, and that's been a very a good experience for us too. We've got a K9. We've got a drone program, brand new drone program we just launched a few months ago. That's been tremendous. A tremendous advantage and force multiplier for us when we've got particular incidents going on. So we've got a little bit of variety here. And then, of course, one of the biggest responsibility I have is the jail. And we've talked about that before. My average daily head count right now is about 540 people. A few months ago, we hit an all-time high, a record high of 608. We've never had 608 inmates in the Ellis County Jail at one time, and we hit that several months ago. It's gone back down a little bit. Like I said, we're hovering 540, 550 right now. But that's a huge undertaking and a big deal, and something that we stay on top of. One of the things I do want to tell you, DV, since we talked just last week, the Texas Commission on Jail Standards did their annual inspection of my jail, and we passed with flying colors. Got an outstanding staff. They do an outstanding job from my chief deputy, Terry Ogden, over the jail, the captain, Tommy Eberhard, our lieutenants, our sergeants, our corporals, and our detention officers do a fantastic job. And I definitely want to take that time, a moment, and say kudos to each one of those. They do a great job for us.
Congratulations.
And
yeah, congratulations to Ellis County Jail, you detention officers. I know what a big undertaking that can be, especially the inspections, ACA, and others, Texas, I guess. So yep. I know that those things can be quite difficult. They toss up everything and make sure you're doing everything right. So kudos on getting an outstanding on that. That's big.
Thank
you. Since you've been there, what kind of culture have you brought to the department? Because you're the leader.
You know, and that may be something that you should ask the people that work for me or work with me. But I think we've got a great group of professionals that work here, and they do a phenomenal job. And I truly, at 264 employees, I still think we're able to keep a family type atmosphere. You know, somebody's kids are hurt or sick, or wife's going through, you know, we got people, you know, spouse going through with cancer situations and those kinds of things. We know about those things. We try to support each other and help our brothers and sisters. I would say in blue, but sheriff's office, it's green, as you can tell. I'm in uniform today. But no, I think we've got a family atmosphere, and I think the majority of the people that work here enjoy working here. I think they want to be a part of that. And we've been fortunate and the quality of people that we have working for the agency. You know, that's one of the biggest challenges I've got right now is recruitment and retention to a certain extent. Right now, we're probably between 20 and 30% behind in pay, behind the other agencies around here, the other bigger agencies. And when I say that, I'm talking about Waxahachie PD, Midlothian PD, Red Oak PD, and even Ennis to a certain extent. And that makes it hard to get people. When I've got 8 openings right now for deputies. I know Midlothian, Waxahachie, every one of these agencies has openings. And when we're trying to recruit new people, if they can come to the sheriff's office and make X number of dollars, or they can go to one of these other agencies and make 20 to 30% more, that makes it hard for me to recruit people. So that's one of my biggest deals. I can tell you we've had a very law enforcement supportive commissioners court up until this point. Our county judge and all 4 of our commissioners have been supportive of law enforcement, and I hope and pray that they will continue to. The one thing that they did do this year is they went out for a salary compensation classification study, which is actually, we went out for RFP on that. It's actually being done right now and in process. So it wasn't in process. Our new budget started October 1st. So we're in it right this minute. But this classification survey should be back in time, plenty of time for budget preparations for next year, for the next budget. So I hope and pray that they do the right thing and take care of our employees, because I do have good men and women that work here, and I want to keep them, and I want to keep them for the safety and security of this county. So I'll tell you this, anybody that watches this show, feel free to pick up the phone, call your commissioner, call your county judge, and let them know that you support law enforcement. If you support my office, because I truly, I'm going for some substantial raises this next year. I did it this year. I even had the monies. It was going to take about $1.7 million to get the sheriff's office, our sworn employees, up to where they need to be at 20 or 30% that I'm talking about. And but of course, that was money that I had left over in my salary line from the positions that I had open this past year. So it wasn't built into the tax rate to be able to be there for moving forward for every year to come. But we did offer that money to try to see if they would at least take a small bite out of the apple this year, so that when the salary compensation comes in, it won't be such a big bite next year. But I'm telling you, we're behind, and we're going to be fighting every way we can to get our employees what they need. And I think to stay competitive, it's going to take that. So sorry to get on a rant there, but I think that's important that the citizens of Ellis County know your sheriff's office does a great job for you. We take care of our citizens. We take care of the citizens out at your homes, as well as the ones that we have locked up in our jail. And that's part of our responsibility. But it's important that we are able to continue to do that, and to do that with men and women that are making a competitive wage.
So that's why I do this, so that I could raise awareness about the things that are going on in this county. Because, truthfully, people they know there's a sheriff, but they don't know much about the day to day. They don't know what you're doing. When they have encounters with you, they're either really positive, you saved a life, or they're negative. So there's
Right.
no, it's one of the two. And so, bringing this awareness is what I try to do on this show. You're facing staffing issues like all departments, and I mean,
Yep.
my department, all departments are facing it right now, and pay is a major factor. So I hope that the commissioner's court will consider that going forward. Are there other kind of benefits, kind of fringe benefits that you offer to try to get these recruits in?
Sure. So, like I said, our pay is the biggest thing that we're trying to get increased. We did get added to our budget this year, overtime. So in the past, county employees could only get compensatory time, comp time, and now we're able to, because of the changes that the commissioners made, we're able to offer overtime when people do have to work that time. So that's a positive. For the most part, if you live in the county, we have a take-home vehicle for most of the people that live in the county, that drive a vehicle, and that's beneficial in a lot of ways. We've got studies after studies shows that folks can check in service from their residence, and start answering calls as soon as they check in, and it's been beneficial to have those officers in neighborhoods where people know where they live, and they know that the guy next door down the street is a deputy sheriff, and we found that to be a positive thing for us as well. But yeah, there's quite a few things like that we do have going on for us. Like I said, I think we've got a good family type atmosphere for the most part. I have lost 2 deputies just since this budget passed, which was just a few weeks ago. Since it was filed and passed, I've lost 2 deputies, fixing to lose a third to go to an agency right down the street for 20 to 30% more money. And I mean, how can I fault somebody for taking care of their family? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want to lose people, but I get it. When we're paying what we're paying nowadays for everything, for housing. I got deputies that work for Ellis County Sheriff's Office that can't afford to live in Ellis County. They're living in surrounding counties, mainly to the south. That the cost of living isn't as high as it is here. So we've got to take care of our people, and I'm hoping this compensation study that we've got going right now will address that, and our commissioner's court will take that into consideration and do the right thing for our employees.
Have they been responsive to your request?
Yeah, for the most part. Like I said, we just got our budget enacted October 1st, and except for the salaries, the majority of the things that we've needed and told them we needed, and they allowed me to move more money into the vehicle fund this year that keeps us in new vehicles. Biggest problem we got with that right now is there's not any vehicles. So you can't go find a police package, anything. Typically we drive Tahoes right now. We're looking at we've got a few of the forward responder trucks, which are pursuit rated 4-wheel drive pickup trucks. We've got a few of those coming out. We're going to put some of those on patrol and see how they do for what we do. But no, they allowed us to move money around. They've continued to fund some of the things that they've started. So I don't have a major complaint with our commissioner's court. Like I said, they've been very law enforcement friendly. They've been very police positive, so to speak. In just about every area, with the exception of the raises. And I truly believe this next year is the year for that, because of the study that's going on right now.
We're competing with Dallas. We're competing with, heck, you're competing with Waxahachie, and that
one of the ones I just lost was Cedar Hill, right down the street.
I mean, you're competing with these departments.
We've lost in the past to Waxahachie PD. We've lost, to other agencies that are paying more than we are.
Yeah.
And while I know we're a county, we're still law enforcement is law enforcement. When somebody can go to a PD right down the street and make 20 to 30% more money, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're facing the same thing with your detention officers as well. I mean,
Yeah, our
it's a
detention
good sum.
officers, we like I said, the county just gave this year. It wasn't a percentage raise; it was a flat raise. It was $3,000 flat raise for every county employee. That put my starting wages for a detention officer, which could be basically an 18-year-old person right out of high school, either with a high school diploma or a GED and no criminal history, making $50,600, $700 a year. We're not doing real bad in the detention side. Um, I think we're staying pretty competitive with even some of the bigger counties, Tarrant and Dallas, and some of the bigger counties around us, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
We're not ahead of the curve by any means, but we're not 20 to 30% behind on the detention side like we are on the sworn side right now.
Well, that's good. That's definitely good because that is
Yeah.
your primary function there, that jail. So now I'm going to get into what I want to do is get into crime, what's going on in the county about that. And then I want to talk about this special thing called reelection.
Okay.
So, you know, last time I talked to you, we talked about some of the initiatives that you're doing, that you've been working with other agencies in trying to combat certain things. Before I get into that, like murders, robberies, you said you have a rise in murders. Talk to me about violent crime in the county. What's going on?
I think, and I'd have to check. I should have checked before the show, but I think we've got 15 murderers in my jail right now, that are awaiting trials. And that's to be honest with you, that's what the biggest problem that we have. The biggest reason our jail population is what it is right now is because of unadjudicated felonies waiting on trials. Of that, a few months ago, I told you we hit 608. At that very time, we had 608 people in jail. 439 of them were felons waiting on a trial. So I know COVID slowed things down and clogged the court system. Had to shut down. They couldn't even hold trials for a period of time. They're backing up and holding trials now. And my understanding, we've got a couple of visiting judges that are helping with some of those trials as well. But we've got a lot of people waiting on trials. So that's a big issue. It's a big issue for me as the sheriff of this county. It's a big issue for every citizen as a taxpayer, because we're paying the amount it takes every single day to feed and house and take care of medical issues for all these people that are in my custody.
And that right there is not cheap. That
No,
medical really drives it up. So
we went from 2.5 million, I think, this last year to this year's budget for inmate medical is almost $5 million,
wow.
almost doubled this year. So that's because when they're in our custody, we have to take care of their medical needs as well. And when we've got a backlog and we've got a bunch of people sitting in jail waiting on trials, we're taking care of them in the meantime.
Well,
they don't just get free meals and a place to sleep at night. They get medical and dental too if it's needed. We get whatever it takes. We have to take people out to see specialists and just like you would if you were at home and your primary care physician says, "Oh, DV, you've got a little issue here. We need to send you to a specialist for this or specialist for that." We have to do the same thing for these inmates.
And just so that the public knows, if he doesn't do it, he can be sued. So
absolutely.
It gets real. You may not really think they need it, but that's not up to you. Doctor says it, and then you got to go with it.
Yep.
Now, with violent crime, how about personal crimes, like or property crimes? Excuse me.
So
how's that going?
we've got property crimes, just like every place. I mean, for anybody to tell you that we don't have this or we don't have that in this county or that county or this city or that city, that's not true most of the time. The majority of our property crimes right now are construction thefts. So we've got so much new housing and new housing developments going up all over the county. Literally, these mud districts that are going up everywhere, and because of that, that's prime for crooks to take advantage of and to steal construction materials and things like that. Building materials are extremely expensive right now. Not quite as high as it was during the height of COVID when 2x4 was an inheritance and somebody's wheel kind of thing. But it's still it's construction equipment, construction materials are extremely expensive, and when we still have that going on. we're very proactive. We patrol those areas as best we can. But like I said, there's so many new neighborhoods going up across the county that we just can't be everywhere all the time. So that goes back to the old adage, and you've all heard it, talking about drugs, talking about different things. But if you see something, say something. That's so true, because we can't be everywhere. But if there's a new house going up in your neighborhood, or the neighbors are out of town on vacation, and you see activity there, call us, let us come out, let us check it out. We'd rather come out and check it out, and it'd be nothing. It'd be the person they hired to come water the cat and feed the cat, and be nothing than to not call us, and somebody's house get burglarized, or something like that.
Are you
So
are you satisfied with the coverage that you have in this county?
yes, at this moment we're doing pretty good. I've got with the positions that we added this last year. So I've got a sergeant, a corporal, and seven. We'll have, once everybody's hired and off training, we'll have seven beats. So that's 9 folks on a fully staffed shift for the county. Um, and that doesn't even include the lieutenants. So I've got two patrol lieutenants, one on each side, and they typically split half a shift, half the day shift there with half the day shift and half the evening shift. So we could have as many as 10 folks out, and that doesn't include our CID, that doesn't include our admin, that doesn't include our training, that doesn't include other divisions, civil divisions. But yes, I think we can adequately cover the county, and that's today. As these new mud districts come up and these new housing areas come in, we're going to have to be continually adding to those numbers. It's not going to be a one and done deal. And we talked about this last time, I know, DV, but with Tier 2 passing a few years ago, Ellis County is never going to be like Dallas County, where 95% of the county is inside of city limits. We're not going to be that. That's never going to be the case here. So as these housing developments and all these new homes and new neighborhoods are built in the county, we've got to have staffing to be able to cover that. I believe our commissioners court's done a good job in working with me on that point to this point. And as long as we continue to stay steady with the growth and allow me to bring on more people as we need to, as this county continues to grow, we'll be in good shape.
It's going to be an interesting dynamic because it's going to stay what it is. Nobody's going to vote to get in the city and pay higher taxes. So you're going to have density, but no city. It belongs to you. It belongs to you. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It's going to look sort of like city, but be county. So it's going to, there's a lot of
We're facing that right now.
Now
we've got mud districts, a bunch of them already up and moving, already up and building houses. A lot of them are already, got lots of houses in Prairie Ridge, out other side of Midlothian on 27, right before you go across the county line. That's all ours. That's all. None of that's in the city of Midlothian. That's all mine. And we stay busy there.
Big problem. Yeah, big. I mean, with these things, with more houses, more people, bigger problems, more problems.
Yep.
And I mean, it just keeps coming. But as you know, things are coming over the border. And one of the biggest ones that's causing a lot of poisoning and a lot of death is fentanyl. I wanted to speak to you. Is the county having the same fentanyl problem that other places are having? And what drug is the most predominant right now that you've been dealing with?
Yes, fentanyl is a big deal. It's a big deal everywhere. It's a big deal in Ellis County. We just had an awareness deal at the Texas Theater for fentanyl, and the abuses of and being able to identify those kinds of things at the Texas Theater just a month and a half ago or so. Our narcotics guys are seizing more and more fentanyl. It is prevalent. It is here. It's everywhere. Cocaine still is a real thing here in Ellis County. But I would still say our probably number one right now is going to be a close second to the fentanyl is going to be is still going to be methamphetamine. We're still dealing with a lot of meth, and all of it now is coming up from the border. I started in this county. I worked narcotics back in the 90s, late 90s, all the way through about 2006. We used to do, when I started here in the late 90s, we would average a meth lab a week, and actually have clandestine meth labs here in the county, and we're averaging about one a week. And we hadn't done a meth lab here now in years, because it's cheaper it's cheap and it comes across the border so fluent without any issue. And that's one thing that our current administration has done a horrible job on. And you can be pro-immigration, anti-immigration, whatever the case may be. I can tell you, with the current administration we have, the borders are so fluid that we're getting more and more drugs. Every bit of that stuff's coming up from Mexico. Fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, all of it. And when it used to be cheaper to manufacture methamphetamine right here in Ellis County or right wherever you lived, it's not anymore. It's cheaper to get it straight from Mexico coming across the border. So that's an issue, always has been. And as long as we have the border issues that we have, it's going to continue to be.
That's crazy that you're actually getting a decrease. I mean, not those. It's good that you don't have meth labs because those
yes,
can be
meth labs are very dangerous. And I'm glad we don't
very
have
dangerous. Glad you're not having as many or any as you did. But I mean, the sad part is that the border made it more expensive because you had to go through a border and it was secure. We don't have right now the way things are going. That's not the case. So, now I wanted to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is sex trafficking, sex crimes against children. Can you update the public on what's going on with the county with that? Have you had a lot of sex offenders? What's going on?
Yes. So one of the things I asked for in this year's budget, and one of the things that the Commissioner's Court and the county judge did give us, is a standalone sex offender registrar. So right now, one of our criminal investigation investigators, CID investigators, is responsible for doing sex offender registration. So every time that somebody has to register as a sex offender and they live in Ellis County, they move into Ellis County, whatever the case may be, they have to come up here and in person meet with our sex offender registrar and to get current pictures of what vehicles they're driving, where they're living, what they're doing, all that good stuff. And I asked for that position to be a civilian position because the majority of that is clerical stuff and doesn't have to be a peace officer. So by doing that, that freed up one of the investigators that's in CID now that currently does that job to be utilized in other areas in CID. And mainly it's going to be, I believe, our biggest need right now is going to be crimes against children. And we're going to increase, that person is going to be freed up from the sex offender registration and be able to work on those issues. And so that's one good thing. I think last time that I was on the show, we were talking about us and the Child Advocacy Center of Ellis County had gone into a partnership to try to get a human trafficking task force here in Ellis County. So it was a federal grant. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. That grant, it funded X number of task forces across the country, and they were all, unfortunately, to much larger populated, basically much larger populated Democratic cities is who got those. We did not. Several other places that I'm aware of that put in for that grant did not. They went to places like Detroit and other big cities that yeah, I mean they've got issues too. I get it, but I'll just be honest with you. I'm worried about what's going on right here in Ellis County. That hasn't stopped us. We've done a couple of joint operations since then with Ennis, with Midlothian, and I believe in one with Waxahachie to be able to identify and work some of those types of cases proactively. So just because we didn't get the grant doesn't mean we're not chasing down those people. I've had the mentality for a long time and continue to have and will continue to have. If you mess with our kids, we're coming after you with everything we got.
And that is beautiful.
Excuse me.
That is beautiful. That is how it has to be. That is kids our whole responsibility as adults is to take care of our children, and these people that would hurt children are just, they're animals, and it has to be taken care of, definitely. But off my soapbox now, this is the part that gets fun. Somebody I know is running for re-election, so I wanted to ask you, why should the people of Ellis County re-elect you?
I haven't formally announced yet. I'll be honest with you. I plan on it. I've got a golf tournament coming up October 27th, later this month, which is full, by the way. All the sponsorships are full. The golfers are full. We can't take another person. And I'm tickled to death to have that problem.
you know, the Ellis Talker Show is as good a show as any for that.
There you go. There you go.
Announcement.
So I will tell you that is my intention. I believe that we've done a good job on taking care of our citizens, taking care of our inmates. You know, when you think about inmates, you think about this jail. That's somebody's son, mom, daughter, brother, sister, whatever, kid that's in our care. And you know, one of the things we did during COVID, when we couldn't do in-person visits, I went to our inmate phone provider and said, "Hey, we need our inmates to be able to make contact with their loved ones, and they can't do it in person anymore. So we need to be able to do that through video visitation, which is something that they already provide, but it's provided for a fee." So during the whole deal during COVID, when the jail standard says you can't have in-person visits, we got the inmate phone provider to allow people to visit their family members free of charge. And I just felt like that's something that we needed to do. You know, as well as I do from your job, when these inmates have contact with people at home and family members or whatever, they tend to stay calmer, tend to have less fights, tend to have less of those kinds of things. So that's one thing we did. But honestly, I think we've done a good job of taking care of our citizens, of taking care of our inmates. I certainly try to do everything I can to take care of our employees. Hence the beginning of the show when we were talking earlier about salaries. That's something I'm fighting for. I'm not going to quit. But no, I think I don't have statistics prepared for you tonight because I didn't know we were going this direction. But I'm happy to share those types of things of our accomplishments and what we've been able to do since I took office. But I think as long as the people want me to continue to do this job, and I truly, I think I've shared this with you before, but there's no doubt in my mind, I'm here sitting in this chair because this is where the good Lord wants me to be. I truly feel like this is a calling. This isn't a job for me. My phone rings 24/7, and that's okay. My wife doesn't mind a bit. She understands. I take calls all the time from citizens. The same phone number I got right now, this phone that I carry every single day is the same one I had during my campaign when I ran. It's the same one that's on my Facebook page right now. You want my phone number? It's on my Facebook page. Look it up. It rings this phone. It's not some other deal, or go to somebody else or go to some answering service. You need me, you call me. I've got an open door policy. People come up here all the time saying, "Hey, I want to talk to the sheriff." If I'm not in the middle of something important or a big meeting that I can't leave, I'll be happy to visit with you. We can sit and talk. Tell me what your issues are. We'll try to resolve them as best we can.
I can attest to that because I wore the sheriff out big time for this interview. So I appreciate you, Sheriff. I do. No, I know I'm persistent, so I'm sorry. You know, and I know that you're going to make it official later, but going forward, you know, what do you see? What do you see your role as sheriff expanding to as you go forward in the future, especially if you're reelected?
You know, we've got to be ready for the growth. We've already grown a bunch just in the last 2.5 years that I've been in office. Certainly in the last 25 years since I've been in Ellis County, this place is grown exponentially. It's not going to quit, and being prepared for that growth, being prepared for our citizens, for the neighborhoods, taking care of those citizens, taking care of this jail. I've got 865 beds in this jail. Like I said, right now we're at hovering 540, 550. So I've got extra bed space. The problem is, and I get phone calls all the time from other sheriffs in Texas that are out of bed space, that don't have any beds, looking to rent bed space. And I tell every one of them every time, come on, bring them on. However many I can hold 300, bring them on, but bring me detention officers to watch them, because that's our biggest shortfall right now, is having the detention staff to be able to watch 865 inmates. I don't have it. As you know, in Texas, jail standards are a little bit different from Bureau of Prisons, but we have to maintain 1 to 48. So for every 48 inmates in my care, I have to have one detention officer watching those 48 inmates. And a lot of that has to do with how they're classified, whether they're maximum security, medium security, minimal security. how they're classified, what they're in here for. You know, you don't want to put a serial killer or somebody who's committed numerous homicides in with somebody who's in here for a
Bouncing a check.
traffic ticket or something. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to be mindful of those things. And so that's a whole nother issue. But I think that's important. I think we do a good job with that, but that's something that we've got to continue to be ready for to grow, because that is the number one issue facing this county in the next 10 years is growth and being prepared for that. And I feel like that the team that we have in place right now can handle that situation without a doubt.
Well, Sheriff, this is the part of the show where you speak directly to the people of Ellis County. I shut up, give you the mic, and let you have it.
Okay. Well, I truly appreciate you having me on the show and giving me the opportunity to visit with the folks in Ellis County tonight. I've been here since the late 90s. Started as a Midlothian officer for a few years and then went over to the county in 2001. And I've worked all over this county, and I truly have a heart for the people in this county. And I love this county. I love the people in this county. It's an honor for me to serve as your sheriff. And as long as you want me to continue to serve and to be your sheriff, that's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do. My door's always open. Feel free to call. Feel free to call the sheriff's office, ask to speak with me. My secretary will be happy to set up an appointment. If you want to come in and visit, come in and drink coffee. You can come in and fuss about your neighbor, whatever the case may be. We're going to try to help you every way we can.
Well, Sheriff, thank you so much for coming on and giving a crime update to the people of Ellis County. You know, I appreciate that you give me your time. I know this is your time away from your family, away from your things, and you know, I do appreciate your time big time. Sheriff, again, thank you so much. Can you stick around for a second?
You bet.